and welcome to Rotted Reviews, and today it's another Rotted Request, where I hand the keys to the car over to my patrons and let them take me on the journey. And today, the driver is Ben Grimm, who requested that I take a look at the 2012 movie, The Conspiracy. And as always, I don't just ask what, I also ask why, and Ben responded, "I've always been into conspiracies and thought this film was really cool for that aspect. Nowadays, conspiracies get spread so fast, people don't even take the time to think if they make any kind of sense. Watching this now has me seeing in a different way, but I still like it." Well, truth be told, I actually agree with you, Ben. This is one that I think was made ahead of its time. Written and directed by Christopher McBride, this is a mockumentary, or at the very least a documentary-style fiction movie in which two characters start going down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. Just conspiracy theories in general, actually following a conspiracy theorist with his wall of newspaper clippings and so forth that have loose threads tied between them, literally and figuratively. And they're also following him around as he's walking around with his soapbox and his megaphone, getting into the public ear and probably annoying more folks than actually enlightening them. But even so, doing his best to spread the word of the facts that he has found. Things start to go a little haywire when this individual suddenly goes missing, and the two filmmakers are left to pick up the pieces. Now, I mentioned that this was a movie that was a bit ahead of its time. Conspiracy theories have been around forever. As long as there's been society and civilization, there's always been people theorizing all manner of things about its inner workings. However, it really does feel like we've gotten into so much conspiracy, and it's become a bit of almost a public health issue. It's certainly affecting public health issues. The fact of the matter is that conspiracies by their very nature are, well, easy. Occam's razor, coming down to its most basic points, is basically stating that the simplest idea is usually the correct one, and I've found in my life that that's usually true. Not always, but usually. But the thing is, just because something is simple doesn't mean that it's easy. Simple concepts such as our carbon buildup and output is baking the earth, as well as things like with COVID, that a virus is basically transmitting from person to person, is a lot simpler than a lot of grand conspiracies about nefarious shadow organizations and global conspiracies of world leaders and bureaucrats and so on and so forth getting together to conspire with one another and form these leagues and camps and so on. But the thing about the simplest notions are that they do require some measure of effort. If we are responsible for the carbon output that is baking the earth, that means that we need to adjust our lifestyles and make necessary changes, as well as enact legislation to help with those changes. If we are doing something as far as like COVID with virus-to-virus transmission, then we have a personal responsibility to adjust our lifestyles for the good of our neighbors and our loved ones. So it's not an easy thing. It's just a simple thing. And the thing about conspiracies is they are easy. If you can blame some shadow organization that is nebulous and can never really be pinned down, but they're the cause of everything, then you don't actually have to make any adjustments to your lifestyle. You don't have to put in any work whatsoever. Everything is outside of your control. Everything is outside of your hands. So the best that you can do is simply try to educate the world about this problem as it exists. I found that more often than not, the deeper the conspiracy theories go, the further people are getting from personal responsibility. And the thing of it is, it's becoming so prevalent today, scarily so. It's becoming an issue where we all know somebody in our lives. It used to be somebody that, might not believe in the moon landing, and you kind of wrote it off as, okay, well, we won't broach that subject with that person again. But it's becoming such an issue that it's actually taking over people's entire lives. Their political stances are becoming more of a personal identity issue, and it's become so prevalent that it's not just the outliers anymore. It's become a statistically significant number. A lot of people are believing in the kookiest shit right now. Pizzagate, all sorts of things, that conspiracies are rampant. And the people that are believing in them and following them and trying to fuel this fire and spread them, it's become a huge issue, especially when it comes to alleviating personal responsibility, because there are issues that require all of us to rally as a society. And it's becoming that significant number that's kind of holding things back because it's not something that they view as their personal responsibility. So, tying all of that in with this 2012 movie, I do have to admit that the first half of it captured me and scared me a whole lot more than the second half. I don't want to get into spoilers, and I'm not going to get into spoilers, but suffice it to say, a movie of this ilk is pretty natural for these two people that are trying to uncover this mystery are going to start uncovering this mystery. The notion of what disappeared this man that they were following is going to kind of fall under, their umbrella as they continue digging. And I will have to say that at the point in which they found the conspiracy, and at least one of them really followed it hard. It was a good example of how easy it is to fall into this trap and start connecting these nebulous loose threads to try and find some pattern of some answer. And as one of them fell into it deeper than the other, but as soon as they actually found generally what was going on, and as soon as that became confirmed and the rest of the movie kind of took over from there, it wasn't bad, but it didn't capture me nearly as much as the first half. The first half, when they were actually going through and uncovering the clues of this mystery and finding more and more clues and more questions, and do you recognize that person on the street there? Weren't they following us a week before? That kind of thing. That was a lot scarier, and it was a lot more enigmatic. I think it's kind of the nature of things, with horror and so on and so forth, that as things get explained more, they become less and less scary. The scariness is in the unknown and in the mystery that's following. But even so, I'm not going to say that I disliked the second half, not at all. I thought it was actually a pretty decent movie in its entirety. I just have to admit that the first half was more engaging. Given the nature of where we are in society today, this is a movie that really spoke to me and was done remarkably well. The characters and the acting was very believable. The found footage style wasn't too distracting. It actually worked pretty well. They didn't do a whole lot of the typical found footage mistakes, so kudos to them on that. All in all, I did enjoy this movie, and I do heartily recommend it for just about anybody. If you're not a big fan of found footage, I still recommend maybe give this one a shot. If it's not to your liking after a few minutes, then it probably won't wind up ever being to your liking, but I do think it is worth giving a whirl. So thank you very much, Ben Grimm, for recommending the 2012 movie The Conspiracy, and thank you out there for watching this video. I do hope you liked it. If you did, please click like and subscribe, or click that bell if you're already subscribed. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.